different questions. And if there's time, we might get to proving quadrilaterals. But let's see. I've got a quick quiz for you here because I hope that those of you who were here on Tuesday heeded my advice to go and learn your properties. So there's 5 questions up on the screen, and just by yourself, don't post it in the chat, just by yourself for now, just answer those 5 questions in the next 2 minutes. Okay, let's see how well you know your properties. Remember, it says give the name of the quadrilaterals that have, so it can be one quadrilateral or it can be quadrilaterals. Nishan, I'm going to save people the speech about the episode of Friends, and I'll run that one again on Tuesday. You'll hear the rerun on Tuesday. Okay, so our 2 minutes are up. Let's go to the first one. What would you say, which quadrilaterals have the diagonals bisecting each other? Pop it in the chat. So we've got the parallelogram, the square, the rhombus, and the rectangle. Excellent. Okay. Now, question 2, the diagonals bisecting the opposite angles. For which quadrilaterals do we have that? The diagonals bisecting the opposite angles. No, Chinamiram, because the diagonals do not bisect for a kite. So everyone's saying rhombus. It's not parallelogram. There's one other one. It's also not rectangle, but it is square. There we go. Okay. So, and don't guess, guys. You should have your page with all your properties in front of you. And if you really can't remember, you need to look at that page, but don't guess. Okay, one pair of opposite angles are equal. Which one's this? One pair of opposite angles are equal. That's a kite. Nice. It can't be a palm because both pairs of opposite angles are equal. Both pairs of opposite sides parallel for question 4. Which one's that? If both pairs of opposite sides are parallel, we are dealing with a parallelogram. That's right. Okay. And then the last one, all its sides and all its angles are equal. Which one's that? All its sides and all its angles are equal. That can only be a square. Okay. So give yourself a mark out of, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Give yourself a mark out of 9. And if you didn't get at least 7 out of 9, you need to go and study your properties. The last one is not a rectangle. It is all its sides and all its angles are equal. That's a square. Okay, so 7 out of 9 and below, you need to go study some more, and we'll do it again on Tuesday. We can see if you get better, a little informal quiz. I see quite a few 8s. I wonder where it went wrong, if it's like 8. Why not 9? Is there anyone who got 9? Come, show off. Tell us if you got 9 out of 9. Anyone? Zoom user, you must tell us your name, Zoom user, and Chinamirum. Monica, well done. Sinako got 8 out of 9. Okay, Khomotso, Ms. Kaka, will you change the name, please, to Khomotso? Okay, so this is where we left off on Tuesday. We did this question with the rectangles. So we're going to go on. I think I did give you a chance to take a screenshot to maybe go and practice it at home. Not a train smash if you didn't. It was just if you really wanted to, and if you wanted to work on your quadrilaterals. So let's have a look at question 1. Where are we going to start? What is the first thing we need to do, if you remember from Tuesday's lesson? Yes, Yenzi, that's right. You must identify this shape. Hi, Nelly, you can unmute. Nelly, you can unmute. You have your hand up. Okay, I'm not sure why Nelly's not talking to us, but okay, so yes, you're right, guys. You identify the shape and you give a reason. So what shape is this? Put it in the chat. What shape is this and why do we say that? It's a kite. For what reason? Everyone's telling me it's a kite, but no one's giving a reason. Come, tell me the reason. 2 pairs of adjacent sides equal. Excellent. Okay, let's note the words carefully, guys. It's 2 pairs of adjacent sides are equal. I see adjacent, I see sides, but somehow it's not all coming together very nicely. So write it down correctly. 2 pairs of adjacent sides equal. Now, how are we going to solve for x? Nice, Sunda, that's great. Hi, Bukhle, no worries. That's right, happiness, but that's not what's given, okay? So the property that is given is that these 2 sides are equal, JT equal to TN and GJ equal to GN. And that makes it a kite because it's 2 pairs of adjacent sides equal. Okay, how are we going to solve for x? Pop it in the chat, please. Now that we know it's a kite, we're going to use its properties to solve for x. Which property can we use to solve for x here? Come, let's move a little bit faster, grade 10s. That's one way, but we don't have enough information to use that way with the 360 degrees. We're missing angle T and angle G. We only have J and N. How are we going to solve for this, grade 10s? Put it in the chat or raise your hand if you know. Oh, Ms. Coco, you're helping them. The opposite angles are equal to each other. There, Ms. Coco actually gave you such a big hint now. So how are we going to solve for x? I don't know, the previous class could do this. What is happening with this class? The opposite angles are equal in length. Okay, we're going to need to make an equation. Since we know, yes, Unati?
Sorry, Mama, I have a question. Can we say that 5x plus 10x plus 2x plus 37 degrees is equal to 180 degrees? Reason.
No, not 180. Why do you say 180?
Oh, the thing is, I'm using the isosceles triangle properties, man. That's okay.
Yeah, but this is a cut. It's not an isosceles triangle.
So it could be 5x plus 10 degrees is equal to 2x plus 37 degrees.
For what reason?
Because opposite interior angles are equal.
The opposite angles of a kite are equal, yes. Oh, we got there in the end. Thanks, Miss Coco, for helping. Yeah, that's a good tip as well. If the reason says equal, then our equation has an equal in it. So we put those two equal because the opposite angles of a kite are equal. And now we're going to solve for x. We subtract the 2x on both sides, so we get 3x. And then I subtract the 10 on both sides, I get 27. That's just plain old solving an equation that you've been doing since grade 8. And then x is going to equal 9 because I divide by 3 on both sides. Okay, x is 9. There we go. All right. Let's go to the next one. I hope that this one can go a little bit better. Let's try. So let's start with our process, our thinking process. So our thinking process is that we need to identify the shape first. When we have identified the shape, we can use the properties of that shape to solve for the unknown angles or the angle that we are looking for. So Tiamo says this is a rectangle. For what reason, Tiamo? What makes this a rectangle? Okay, the opposite sides are parallel. We do not know that the sides are equal. Also, Amor, it is not, guys, listen carefully. You can't make things up, okay? We can only work with what is given. We can only work with the facts. What's given, I'm going to make in one color. Opposite sides are parallel. If the sides are not marked as equal, you cannot assume that they are equal. Okay, so these sides are parallel. The only other information that's given is that this is 90 degrees. That's given. We can't make stuff up beyond that. Now, working with those facts, we can say, okay, this is a rectangle. It's a rectangle because of the 90-degree corners. This is a parallelogram. It's a parallelogram. Remember, we spoke about this on Tuesday, that a rectangle is a parallelogram with a 90-degree corners. Okay. Now that we've established the fact that it's a rectangle, now we can work with the properties of the rectangle. And those properties I'm going to put in pink. They are there because we have now come to the conclusion that this is a rectangle. So now we can say these opposite sides are equal. Before we have established that it's a rectangle, we can't do that. Okay, it's a careful reasoning process that you have to go through. All the angles are now 90 degrees. What are some of the other properties that we know? We know that the diagonals of a rectangle bisect and they are equal in length. Okay, so that is your thought process. Now I still see, let me see, this is a rectangle, all angles equal in size is 90, yes. But it's also because it's a parallelogram with 90-degree corners. Okay, now we've got all of that. What was given is in green. What's in pink is what we know are the properties of a rectangle. Now we can start to solve for our question. Okay, now I'm going to give you a minute or two to try and solve for it. And if you do come up with an answer, let us know. Remember, we always start with what is given. So if this is 2x, find another angle that's also equal to 2x. And if this is x minus 30, find another angle that's x minus 30. And that's how you build your question and start to find a solution to it. Okay, I'm going to give you, like I say, I'm going to give you till 1825 for this one. And Pandakazi says they think they have the answer. Good stuff. It's 1 more minute for those of you who are still thinking. Oh, is it cut off? Let's make it D. I've just named it D. Okay, Unati also says they have an answer. I'm looking forward to hearing these answers. Okay, I am so glad to hear that people have answers. Okay, I'm going to go through it the way I would do it. Maybe you did it in a different way. That's perfectly fine. So I'm just going to start by going on a fact-finding mission. So in a fact-finding mission, I just go and fill in values of angles. Okay, I'm not actually getting to the point yet. I'm just putting some known values to some of these blank spaces. And you do that because that inevitably helps you to answer the question. Okay, so if this is 2x, I'm going to put 2x here as well, because that is alternate angles. Those sides are parallel. FZ is parallel to DV. Okay, not much more I can do there. What I can do now is say, okay, let me go to the other thing that's given, which is x minus 30. And what I can do is say, okay, so this triangle here, FQD, I'm going to highlight it here, FQD, because of those diagonals of the rectangle, that gives me a nice isosceles triangle. So I can say that this is also x minus 30. And because this whole angle is 90 degrees, because of the properties of a rectangle or the angles of a rectangle, this x minus 30 plus the 2x is going to add up to 90 degrees. Okay, so how do I write all of that down? I'm going to start by the first thing I said, which was that this angle D, ZDV, is equal to 2x. And the reason for that is alternate angles, FZ parallel to DV. Guys, just a reminder to please remain on mute. It creates unnecessary background noise if you unmute. And then I said, okay, can I find another angle that's equal to x minus 30? Yes, I can. I can say first, though, that FQ is equal to DQ. I must say first why those two sides are equal, that I didn't just thumb suck it. I can say that because of the properties of a rectangle. And the specific property of a rectangle that I'm dealing with here is that the diagonals bisect. Not a, yeah, it is a rectangle. Yeah, rectangle. Okay, and then I can say angle DFQ is equal to angle FDQ, and that's because of angles opposite equal sides. And then I'm going to add x minus 30 plus 2x together, and that adds up to 90 because together they make up that corner. That's 90 degrees. So that gives me 3x minus 30 is 90. I add the negative 30 on both sides. That gives me 120, and then x is 40. Okay, put a thumbs up in the chat if you got x equal to 40 as well. Even if you did it a different way, because with geometry, there's many different ways to do it. Put a thumbs up if you got 40. Masood says yes. Yenzi says yes. Chinamiram says yes. Where's everyone else? Okay, if you didn't get 40, I expect you to raise your hand and ask some questions, guys. Uchle got 40 as well. Okay, Chinamiram, let's hear. You have something to say? If you didn't get it right, guys, you need to post a question in the chat, or you need to raise your hand and talk to us. You can DM Coco as well if you have a question. Yes, Chinamiram.
I did my thingy differently. So what I did was for the isosceles triangles, for the 2x, since the isosceles triangles, I made the other 2x equal there to F, angle F. And then the x minus 30, I made it equal to angle D. So now I I did like x minus 30 plus 2x equals 90. And then
Yeah.
I got 40. And then another thing I did was I added all the angles together, the 2x plus 2x plus x minus 30 plus x minus 30 equals 180 degrees. And then I also got 40.
Yeah. Wonderful. You see, there's so many different ways. I did it this way, you did it that way. As long as it makes sense and as long as it goes with reasons.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, Tequila asks, is triangle FDQ not an equilateral triangle? FDQ. No, it's not equilateral. FD is not equal to the two other sides, unfortunately. So that's why it's isosceles. Yes, Unati, let's hear from you.
Sorry, ma'am. I don't know how I did it, but for me, for me, ma'am, I said that x minus 30 degrees plus 2x is equal to 180 degrees. And the reason was angles on a straight line.
I don't think we can do that. No. Because they're not on a straight line. X minus 30 and 2x make up the 90-degree corner. I don't see, no, I don't see angles on a straight line with that. Yeah. You see, it has to be on that 90-degree corner that adds up to 90.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Alrighty. Please keep the questions coming. We need to all know what's going on here. That's why you come to Watobe for extra lessons so that you can sort out all your issues and get all your questions answered. Like I said, if you feel like you don't want to put your hand up, you can definitely DM Ms. Coco. She can also assist you with a question. And yeah, let's get this right, guys. Let's go to the next one, question 7. I'm going to leave you alone for about 4 minutes and go through that process, identify the shape, and then use the properties of the shape to actually answer the question. And one hint here, if the corners are not indicated as 90, it is not a square. In this case, the corners are not 90 degrees, so don't think that it's a square, this one. So for this to be a palm, we would need to remember what I said in the previous question as well about working with the facts. What are the facts that we've got here? All the sides are equal. That's it. Okay, there's no 90-degree corners. It's just the sides that are equal. So to identify the shape correctly, that's what you work with. That's all you've got. And if you are struggling with your properties, you need to have a look, go to your list, the big list, or in your textbook, if you have a textbook. Yeah, that's fine, guys. You're just working on your own for now, and we'll check back in about 4 minutes. Just work on your own, solve. Once you've identified the shape, then you're going to solve for X and Y. But do so on your own now for the next few minutes. If you have questions, raise your hand, pop it in the chat, send it over to Miss Coco. Okay, start putting your answers in the chat if you have a value for X and Y. Okay, one hint I can give is that this is not a square. It doesn't indicate that the corner angles are 90 degrees, so we cannot say that it's a square. What have we got to work with? We've got the sides that are equal. Highlight that for yourself. That's all we've got. So of the two options of our quadrilaterals that have equal sides, no problem, Tandakazi. Of our two options, it can either be a square or rhombus. But for the square, we need 90-degree angles, and we don't have that indicated here. We can't make it up. So it's not a square, it's a rhombus. Even if you go through a process of elimination like that. Okay, so now we're going to start filling in, do it in another color, the properties of a rhombus. Now that we've decided it's a rhombus, what do we know? We know that the diagonals bisect at 90 degrees. So this is equal to that, and that's equal to that. If you don't know your properties, then you will have a bit of a struggle here. Now, because of the two sides, these sides that are equal, we've got an isosceles triangle in WNS. So once you've indicated that properties, those properties, you go on the fact-finding mission. Remember, you just go and you start filling in things that are blank and using the properties that you now know. Oh, the other thing that we can fill in is that the sides are parallel. Opposite sides are parallel. And that's actually enough. But because of this isosceles triangle, this is also 12. Angles opposite, equal sides. And that's enough information for us to solve for X and Y, because we've got the 90 degrees here, and we've got 12 and X, and in this smaller this other triangle, WNO, we've got 90 and 12 and Y. Okay, so let's start there. let's say that WOS is 90 degrees. Why do we say that? Because the diagonals of a rhombus bisect at 90 degrees. Okay. So then in triangle WOS, we can go x plus 12 plus 90 degrees is 180. Why can we say that? Because it's angle sum of triangle. So then x, we're just going to take the 12 and the 90 across. So 180 minus 90 minus 12. So 90 minus 12 is 78. Okay. Asanda, I saw you got that x is 78. Happiness got x is 78. Kloklo got that as well. Well done. So things that we find, we can even use another color for that. So this thing just lights up like fireworks. And now we can go again and we can go 90 plus 12, 78. Yes, Ms. Coco. Ms. Coco raised her hand.
I did, but I'll say what I need to say after you're done, ma'am.
Okay. Or we can just again use the properties of a rhombus and say that y is 78. And why is y 78? Because the diagonals of a rhombus bisect the angles. And that's it. That's all you needed to do. Jennifer says he was off by a long shot. Okay, Komotso, again, there are different ways of doing it. There are so many different ways of doing it. As long as you got those answers and as long as you got some good reasons. Okay, like the diagonals of a rhombus, angle sum of a triangle, the fact that the diagonals bisect at 90 degrees, etc. Okay. Yes, Andiswa. Andiswa, you have your hand up. You can unmute.
Okay. Ma'am.
Yes.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello. Yes.
Ma'am, I'm kind of confused as to how we come up with x is equal to 78 degrees.
Okay, so do you understand why WOS is 90?
Not really. Oh yeah, I do, because of the angle.
That's because of the diagonals of a
90
rhombus.
degrees.
No, the diagonals of a rhombus bisect at 90 degrees,
Yes.
meaning where these diagonals meet, they form a 90-degree angle.
Yes.
So that's why WOS is 90. And then 78, sorry, the 90 plus the 12 in this triangle, in triangle WOS, 90 plus 12 plus x will give you 180 because of angle sum of a triangle. And then you just solve for x. And then x is 78, and because the diagonals of a rhombus bisect the angles, y is also 78. Okay, good stuff.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
Then Tandukasi, write the whole thing. Diagonals of a rhombus bisect at 90, or diagonals of a rhombus bisect the angles. Yeah, Ms. Coca, I think that's a good rule of thumb. Yes, Unati, you next.
Sorry, ma'am. So I wanted to ask if is it a property, if you can say that opposite interior angles of an isosceles triangle are equal?
No, the reason we use for isosceles triangle is angles opposite equal sides.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Angles opposite equal side. Ms. Coco, what did you want to say when you had your hand up?
Oh, yes, I did. I did have my hand up. I just wanted to remind you guys, if you're looking for something like X and Y, you'll notice that X and Y are actually angles. So when you're looking at your rhombus, you're going to want to go and find all the properties of a rhombus that has to do with angles. And that's when you're going to be able to see it a lot easier. So think about what it is that you need to find and what it is that you have in terms of your shape. I think that will help a little better.
And I think it will help a lot if you actually know your properties, because I gather from the class that still needs work, still needs a lot of work. So go learn your properties inside out.